Karina, and I'm a fellow at the Women's Public Leadership Network. I'm very excited to conduct today's Leadership Spotlight. And so the purpose of the Leadership Spotlight is to bring high-level women leaders like our very special guest to virtual monthly webinars. And we're going to highlight their leadership experience, but also learn about them. And so without further delay, I'm very excited to introduce wife, mother, and chairwoman of the California Republican Party, Jessica Patterson. She is the first woman and Latina to serve as chair and is known for her get things done and no nonsense style. So Chairwoman, thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited that you are with us today. I'll hand it over to you so that you can share a little bit about your experience, and then I have several questions that I will ask you, and then we'll just take it from there. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Karina, and it's great to be with you. I've worked in politics for about 20 years. Right out of college, I got my first job working in politics and was a very behind the scenes person. And it wasn't until February of 2019, a few months before, and at the end of December, when I decided to run for chair of the largest Republican Party in the entire country. And I was just reelected last month, but it was a lot of work behind the scenes that got me to this point. And as you mentioned, my first jobs are being a wife to Wes Patterson and a mom to Abigail and Madeline. And so prioritizing in my life as a woman is something that, that's a challenge for all of us. But every single day, I feel like I find a way to be up to the task. So I'm excited to talk more about my experiences and share them with the group.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so we'll go ahead and start the question and answer portion. So I'll be asking the questions. And again, the focus is the leadership aspect of your journey. And so, being chairwoman of the Republican Party, there are many skills that you need to succeed. And so what positions have helped you prepare for this position?
So I think that there's an important part that is in, becoming a foreground leader versus someone who's in the background. A lot of the jobs that I had before I was chair was in a managerial role. And when you're managing the day-to-day items, it's very different than some of the things that you need as a foreground leader. Being in the background, you can focus on the details. Oftentimes when you're in the foreground, you have to have a big picture type of presence. I think that also listening a lot and the way that people view you is something that's very different. Before I was chair of the party, I did not enjoy talking to the press. Upon occasion, I would talk to someone for background information or off the record type of stuff, but I never wanted my name in the paper because anytime they were talking about me, they weren't talking about my candidate or my issue that I was trying to get that message out on. And so I think that, the jobs leading up to it, I think certainly having the experience. So I started working in the field and being someone who was out there knocking on doors and making phone calls and really that grassroots experience, managing volunteers and then managing staff on some of these bigger campaigns. I think having those experiences certainly prepared me for the leadership role that I was going to take on as chair. But I think that there is something to be said about on-the-job training. There's some things that you can't be prepared for. And there was a lot of things that I had to learn on the job. And it's just from experience, whether it's media training and getting the reps in, getting more comfortable being in front of a camera, talking to reporters, being able to pace yourself in the way that you should. All of those things, I think, take time and experience.
Thank you so much. And I think if I had to give you maybe to choose 3 leadership skills that you think are non-negotiable, what 3 would they be based on your past experiences?
So I think that you have to be someone who is open to listening. Okay. And that's not something that I necessarily got a lot of when I was in a more managerial role, right? I knew what the objectives were, and my job was to make sure that those objectives got done. When you're in a more leadership role, I think that some of the things that you really have to do is listen to what other people are saying, also helping them to feel heard. So even if there isn't, or you don't agree, make sure that they feel heard. And I think that that helps with bringing people together and, making sure that they feel that there's a fair process. So I think listening skills is something that, for me, moving into this role, it wasn't necessarily something that I had mastered beforehand, but now it's something that I rely on. Also, being able to talk to other people. Sometimes your tone matters a lot. I think that, probably before I was chair, in my bio, it talks about my get things done, no nonsense type of approach. And that's what it was, right? And that's probably a very nice way of saying that, shouldn't mess around. And so I think that, being able to talk to people in a way that they understand what needs to be done, but they enjoy doing it. They want to do it. And, being able to communicate with other people, I think, is critical. And then finally is leading by example. There is nothing that I would ask of my staff or my volunteers that I haven't or wouldn't do myself. And so particularly when we get close to election campaigns, because I come from the field, I know how important the phone banking is. I know how important the door knocking is. So I want to spend a lot of my time doing that. And that's what we need from our staff and volunteers in those last few weeks. So I think those three things are something that when you're leading people who, if you expect people to follow, you have to be good at all three of those things.
Thank you. Thank you. And okay, so the next question I have is, so at WPLN, we are working to build a support network for women leaders, especially those on the right. Did any women or men help you on your journey? And what made them mentors?
Countless men and women helped me along on my journey. We could probably spend our entire time together talking about all of the people. First and foremost, my husband, Wes Patterson. There is few decisions that I think an individual can make in their life outside of who they choose as a partner that I can't think of anything that's more important. And when you have the proper support system at home, that makes your day-to-day life at work like so much more helpful and easy. And, especially on the tough days, right? You want to come home to that person that's supportive or be able to call them at the end of the day and talk to them about it. So having a partner in Wes Patterson, clearly, like, best decision I ever made. My parents also, we have a very amazing setup with the way my parents help with our children. Both my husband and I travel for work. My kids' schedule never changes because Gigi and Poppy can take them to school, pick them up from school, take them to dance or soccer or whatever they have that particular day. So that support system and that mentorship was critical. Then over on the professional side, from day one, my first job as a county executive director for our local party was with a chairwoman, Leslie Cornejo, who, saw something in me with, very little experience. I was an intern in an assembly office, and I had been an intern at the state party, and that was it. And so her giving me that first job in, my party's political spectrum was huge, was absolutely huge. And every single day she helped me, be better, learn on the job again, because there are certain experiences that I didn't have. I remember being a county executive director, and at the time we had about 14 in the entire state, and we all got together for this first political meeting. And there was the county executive director from Orange County, and it was her, she had probably been doing it for about a decade. And she was just so excited that there was other women in the room, that she wasn't the only woman in the room anymore. And she just took us under her wing for the women that were in the room. And I remember they gave us our first assignment, which was writing a political plan for our county party. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, So I called her up and I was like, hey, Kathy, they didn't give us a template or anything. Like, what do you think I should include in this county party political plan? And she said, I'm just going to send you mine and I'm going to date myself. It was like so long ago that like files that big could not be sent via email. And so she mailed me her political plan. And I just actually cleaned out one of my offices this past weekend and found that political plan. I took a picture of it and I sent it to her. And I talk about this story all of the time because she didn't need to do that. She didn't need to help out the younger women who were just getting started in this business, but she did. And there was a lot of guys that helped me out too along the way. And they are still to this day a part of my kitchen cabinet. So people like Tom Ross, who was a consultant when I first got started, Jeff Randall, who is the political director for the governor when I first got started, Jeff Miller, who did finance for the governor when I first got started, Andy Garicani, who runs one of the most prestigious PACs in California, helped me along the way. The chairman of the party, Duff Sundheim, who was the chairman when I was an intern, right? These are all people that helped me along the way, that there was nothing that they gained from my friendship or from mentoring me. And it was fantastic that, you know, like I said, many of them have stayed with me as friends and mentors.
Thank you. And I think that kind of proves also the point that even though it could seem intimidating to enter this world of politics, like if you do it in the community sense with mentors and other leaders with you, they can guide you really in this process that can seem intimidating. So I think that's what I'm getting from you as well, from what you just shared. So with that being said, what challenges do you think exist today for center-right women when they seek to be leaders, especially in today's environment?
So I think some of the biggest challenges come within us. You know, when the Speaker of the House, then leader for the Republican Party conference, Kevin McCarthy, asked me to run for chair, you know, there's so many of us that think that we're not worthy, think that we're not qualified to do it. And this is all coming from inside of us, right? And, you know, I used to joke that, you know, there's plenty of men who are unqualified that run for these positions, some of which I call congressmen. But, you know, we have this voice inside of us that tells us, you know, you're not worthy or you're not qualified to do this. And like I said, there's plenty of stuff that I had to learn on the job, but sometimes seeing yourself through other people's eyes is, I think, that motivator that some of us need. So I think some of the challenges exist within ourselves, and we need to get past the critics inside of our heads and listen to those people. People wouldn't tell you that they think you would be good for this or they see something in you if they didn't really see it. There's plenty of people out there that are willing to do these jobs and run for these positions and be in these leadership roles. They're saying it because they truly believe that the organization they're asking you to run for, or the elected office that they think that you would be a good fit in, is actually a place where you can help bring something to the table. So seeing yourself through other people's eyes. I do also think that there are challenges for women that men don't necessarily face, right? I have an amazing partner in Wes Patterson, but, you know, like, he doesn't think about, you know, lunches being made or who's going to take the kids to school. And, you know, when he leaves for a work trip, these are things that go through my mind, you know, every time I leave the house. And, you know, again, those are some of the things that we as women put on ourselves. So I think having those types of conversations with your partner is something that can, you know, help avoid some of those obstacles or challenges that we face as women, as moms and partners.
Thank you. And what tips would you give to those just starting out their journeys?
So find mentors. I think that there is, and sometimes those mentors will find you. It often happens on the natural. And so, you know, surround yourself with good people And also, once you start getting into these roles, when you're starting out, you're going to have to, find where your place is and the people that will help you grow. But oftentimes, those people that help you grow and help you get into those leadership positions are going to be the people that are with you the entire time. And so find people, surround yourself with people that are not just pro the cause, but pro you, and have a vested interest in your success. And there's no doubt in my mind that the people that I surround myself with are people that are very pro Jessica, that, want to see me succeed. And they know that by winning elections or building voter registration or, name any other metric, that is me succeeding. And as a whole, it means our organization succeeds.
Correct. Thank you. And so what are you, so a little bit for your journey, what are you looking to do in the next phase of your leadership journey and experience you are hoping or to have or expertise you'd like to get?
So I tend to not focus on the next too much. I have 2 more years. I was just reelected just a few weeks ago. So I have 2 more years in this role as chair of the party. So certainly I would love to win some more House seats and some legislative seats. I think we have some really interesting candidates this cycle. We are responsible for the current majority with the 5 seats that we picked up in the last 2 cycles. So that's been really, really exciting. But when I talk about the next, with every single job that I've ever had in the 20 years that I've been working in politics, I've never really thought about the next. And the reason for that is when you're focused on what's next, it's very, very hard to focus on what's now. And we have to be laser focused on the task at hand. And so, I believe that people will see the work that you do. And with our business, there's a lot of success or failure, and that's pretty clear to see. But when they also see the work that's behind it, they see what you're capable of, the next will take care of itself. And you don't have to worry about that. If you focus on the job that you have been given and not worry about whatever that next step is, then people will see that. And I truly have been rewarded for that my entire career.
Thank you. And okay, so I have maybe 2 more questions. So one more question I have is, if you could give one piece of advice generally to the women looking to put themselves out there to become leaders, what would it be?
Make yourself invaluable. Be the first person in the office, the last person to leave. There is no substitute for hard work, and people see that. It's completely unnecessary for me. When someone introduces themselves to who's ever in charge, that's unnecessary for me. I like to go in and see people doing the work, and those are the people that attract my attention, not the ones that want to make sure I know their name. It's the people that are grinding it out. So make yourself invaluable and indispensable. And like I said, we always notice the people that are keeping their heads down, just doing the work that needs to be done. And also, managers are really, really good about talking about who their superstars are. And they're also really, really good about keeping people that are high performers. If you're wondering, does my boss like me or not? If your boss is talking about you to other people, your boss likes you. And, we always try to keep good people.
Mm-hmm.
So do the work, and people will want to keep you.
Thank you. And so for the women that are looking to add public leadership to their professional lives, what factors should they consider first?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, I try not to use the work-life balance model because I feel that you're always left with something feeling out of balance. So every single day, what I do is I prioritize. And for me, whether it's my bio or, literally what I prioritize every day, first is being a good wife, second is being a good mom, and then third is being a good leader of my party. So those are the types of things that I think about. And let me tell you, it's a grind, and you have to find different ways to make sure that every single one of those priorities are met every day. I spend personally, I'm a person of faith, and every single day I pray a rosary, and in that order, I ask God to help me with those three things. And so I think that you have to really know yourself as a person, and I don't know that that comes naturally for women all of the time. And so really knowing yourself as a person and then figuring out in your life what those priorities are. I think that once you've gotten that straight, anything's possible.
Thank you. So this will conclude our portion of our Q&A between you and I. And so, I'm just very thankful that you were able to join us today for our Leadership Spotlight. And we will also have this recording posted online for anybody that wants to review just some of the highlights that you shared with us. And personally, I'm so thankful that I was able to learn from you today, just, how you continue to keep going at it very hard. And I'm just very thankful for the valuable insight that you shared with me about your journey. So before we log off, what I will do is just remind everyone that WPLN is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that is educating, organizing, and inspiring women to seek public office at all levels across the country to be effective leaders. And also, I want to reiterate that we have a national summit coming right around the corner, April 21 through April 23rd. We're going to have women from all over the US joining us, and just don't forget to register. And women from all over the US are going to network, and that's going to be a great opportunity. Chairwoman, before we let you go, do you have anything else that you would like to share with us?
I have just been completely honored to have this role over the last 4 years. We have been in this position as the first woman, first Latina, first millennial, best hair, has truly been, like I said, a great honor. And then the work that we've been able to do, because electing women and supporting women has been something that was important to me well before I was chair. Being able to elect strong women at the congressional and the legislative level, having our staff where 80% of the senior positions and the director positions are all held by women, has been so incredibly important. And it's not just because that they were women on either of those fronts, but it's because they were the best people for the job. And to watch women flourish in this way has been such a personal joy for me. And so, I would encourage all of the people that are listening today to take that on as one of your responsibilities too, to help the women around you and elevate those qualified women, because we have so many qualified women out there that just don't necessarily have the confidence to put themselves in that position. Help them to get to that place.
I agree. Thank you so much. And with that being said, I'm hopeful that women will also join us at the National Summit. I think we do need confidence boosters, and I think they're going to receive a lot of that weekend. So again, thank you so much. And so this concludes our session today. Thank you for joining us for our Leadership Spotlight.